I wonder if I can ask you, first of all, about the kind of progress that Ukrainian forces are making inside Russia. There had been some fears that that push was slowing down. What do you understand to be happening?
Good morning. Thank you for having me here. Look, first of all, Ukrainian military commanders, they don't really want to speak a lot about this operation. And that's probably one of the reasons of success of this operation. What we know for sure that Ukrainian army is still making progress. It's still moving inside Russian territory. Ukrainian army successfully is destroying the logistics, especially bridges, which isolate the part of Russian troops which is close to Ukrainian military in Kursk region. So overall, the operation looks extremely successful, and which is really surprising that Russians are not giving all their forces to protect their own territory. At the moment, they much more focus on continuing attacks in Donetsk regions in Ukraine rather than protection of its own land.
Well, yes, and yesterday local officials reported that a 14-year-old girl had been killed after a Russian-guided bomb strike on Kyiv hit a playground. President Zelensky has used that incident to renew his calls for the West to give the OK for Ukraine to use longer-range missiles on Russia, something that's not been granted as yet. But do you sense any shift in your allies' views on that issue?
That's probably the biggest drama for this very moment. In fact, we're fighting for 30 months at raw. Ukraine lost thousands and thousands of civilians and military. But the West do not allow us to finish this war. It's ridiculous that Ukraine cannot use the Western weapons against Russian military targets on Russian territory, especially when now we are on Russian territory and nothing happened. So still some people on the West are thinking on some imaginable red lines which do not exist. We are repeating for third year that Putin understands only force, and we have this force in the form of Western weapons, which must be used only with one limit. We must comply with international humanitarian law, and that's exactly what we are fully comply with. All the rest should be a freedom of Ukrainian military to attack Russians on their territory because they attack us from Russian territory. So we are asking the West to give us permission to end this war. We can do that. For that, we need a freedom to use the weapons which we receive from the West.
And as you implied there, those Western allies say that it would be a step too far in terms of risking escalation. So it'd be interesting to see if their position does change. But I did also want to ask you about the firing of Ukraine's Air Force chief by President Zelensky. Do you know what the reason might be for that? There was some suggestion it was connected to the news that a newly delivered F-16 fighter jet had crashed earlier this week. Do you think there is a link to that?
First of all, we need to understand that during last 30, 40 years, in all military campaigns where NATO forces or American forces were involved, minimum 25–30% of losses of jet fighters and helicopters was due to friendly fire. Secondly, last Monday, on August 26, Ukraine was under largest Russian missile and kamikaze drone attacks. There were simultaneously more than 120 cruise and ballistic missiles in Ukrainian sky and more than 100 kamikaze drones, each with a 60-kilogram warhead. And Ukraine extremely successfully protected itself. We were able to intercept more than 85% of all targets. And it looks that during this process, yes, we lost one F-16, which was fighting in the sky against Russian cruise missiles. I don't know the official conclusions of the investigation. It is ongoing. But yes, probably the change of military leadership in Air Force can be linked to this story. But I think we need to wait for official statement from Ukrainian officials.
OK, well, Andrii Osadchuk, thanks very much indeed for your time this morning. We do appreciate it. Thank you.